Here we go. A little bit of a beat, a little bit of feel good, and a little bit of skip happens, and a whole lot of the official country music fan club. Hello, everybody. It's Skip Clark, your host, and right down there is Deb Lamphere. She is that's my phone. Or is that your phone? I'll shut that off.
No, that was mine. I causing trouble again.
Deb is the president and founder of the Country Music Fan Club. And of course, several times throughout the week, we have a lot of artists on, some of the well-established artists and a whole lot of the newer artists. For example, am I pointing the right way? Because you got to do
Yes, you are. Oh, wait, I don't know if I am. I can't point.
You did it. Yep. AC Jones, everybody. AC,
Welcome,
how are you?
Hey, thank you so much for having me on tonight. I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing very well. It's cold. I can tell you that much here in the Northeast. It's
oh my God, yeah.
What is it, Deb? It's like
19 degrees, I think, and going down.
Yeah. High tomorrow, by the way, is talking. I mean, not that it really matters to anybody, but it's only going to be maybe like 13. And with the wind chill, it's supposed to be like 0. So
That's always
you probably have the best updates from being on the air. They probably come flying into you.
Oh, they do.
Every couple of minutes. So.
But it's depressing when you read that. But then again, if you live in this area, then you kind of get used to it. So it is what it is. But most importantly, tonight we got that young lady right there. You can see her on your screen. That is AC Jones. And AC, describe your surroundings a little bit.
Yeah. So I'm currently in Ohio, in northeastern Ohio. So the cold, I understand that feeling right now. It's snowing and it's freezing outside. But I'm in an apartment up here, just hanging out and waiting out some of the pandemic that's been going on and hanging with my family. So, yeah.
And what part of Ohio did you say you were in?
The northeastern part, around a city called Youngstown. So it's about halfway between Pittsburgh and Cleveland.
Oh, okay. My daughter lives in Cincinnati, so that's why I was.
Oh, awesome.
Just curious. So.
Isn't that what KRP is? Wasn't WKRP in Cincinnati?
Yes, it was.
I had to say that.
Yeah.
But AC Jones, it's good to see you as always. And you're no stranger to the area, though, because we had you in town for a show. I want to say it was just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It was the hamburger battle that we had at the stadium.
Yes, that was so much fun. And it was so funny. I remember I was so excited, too, because I actually don't eat beef. And so I went to the burger battle and they had veggie burgers there. And it was so exciting. I was like, oh, how cool. A little something for everybody.
They knew you were coming.
Yeah.
Yeah, we set that up ahead of time. We didn't tell you, but we set that up ahead of time.
Thank you guys.
Absolutely. So tell us, tell Deb and I and everybody a little bit what's been going on with AC Jones. You got the pandemic, but let's talk about you a little bit. What's been going on?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously 2020 was kind of a curveball. Nobody expected that to happen. And especially for some of us who were sort of newer to the artist scene and everything, it was a time to really sort of readjust and rethink the way maybe we were approaching things. So I know, for example, with me, the beginning of 2020, I was planning on releasing sort of a full EP, but I ended up releasing singles along the way because, things didn't know when things were going to open back up, didn't know if I could get back in the studio, didn't know what was going to happen. So the strategy sort of changed a little bit when it came to getting music out there, when it came to doing radio tours. I remember I released my single Castle to radio about a week before everything shut down, and the entire radio tour that we had planned was canceled. And so, we went on and did live streams and tried to get the music out that way. And it was just such a blessing to have technology at our fingertips to be able to do that. And I'm so thankful that people were just so receptive to that and have been so receptive to that for a full year now. But so I've just been working on new music. I've been writing a lot more. I've been doing co-writes over Zoom. So that's been a great experience to really hone in on that craft. And working on some other projects that are and aren't related to music. So I've had some time to sort of hone in on those as well.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And, Deb and I, we always ask the artist this whole writing over Zoom, and everybody has a different opinion on it. What's your opinion? Writing over Zoom, is it hard, easy? And go ahead, just tell us.
It's definitely a challenge. if you're used to writing in a setting where you're all together and somebody's playing a guitar and you can just kind of sing together and figure out a melody, you can't really do that. The delay, kind of hurts with that a little bit. So it's a little bit more passing a ball back and forth instead. So rather than sort of sitting there and trying to sing it out together, it's kind of just going back and forth and really trying to plan out, what are we going to do for our verses? What are we going to do for our choruses? And I know a strategy that I have with a lot of people is we just kind of get a Google Doc together where you can see what's being typed up and you just start throwing out lines. And we'll start to highlight lines that we like, lines that we don't like. We'll put them in different banks and everything, and we'll kind of work the song from there, just to have a visual of everything in front of us. So it's a learning curve, but it works. It works. So
That's the first I think that Deb and I have heard somebody doing it that way.
Oh yeah.
We've heard so many different things, but to go into Google and use Google, is it Google Talk or whatever?
Google Hangout. Google Hangouts.
Or whatever, and you write it in there, and then you can, I like it, no, I don't like this. So you can highlight it, you can move it, put in a folder.
Exactly.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
Then, but when it comes to playing the music, though, that's got to be really difficult, like you say, because of the delay and all that. So
it is. Usually someone kind of leads the musical aspect of it. So usually when I get together with a co-writer, we'll figure out who's more comfortable with playing the guitar, playing the piano, whatever instrument we're working with. And we'll just kind of put the melody and put some of the chord structure on them to record the demo or record the little work tape that we're doing, just to get a feel for it. And then if there's any issues with it, you can listen back to the work tape and maybe send another little voice memo to them saying, hey, can you change the chorus in this way? And so it's a little bit more work on that end, but it works,
Well, you got no choice, right?
Exactly.
Got to make it work.
Well, the creativity has to come out from somewhere, so we have to figure it out. It's like the teachers, how they had to go figure out Zoom with all their students. I mean, that was a nightmare.
I can't imagine.
So, I don't know. I mean, we had a hard enough time figuring out this program.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is for all of us, all three of us right here tonight. This has all been a blessing in disguise.
Right.
We were able to go on with our podcast and be able to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
You as an artist, you've been able to connect with co-writers and maybe get yourself out there by doing I would assume your Facebook shows and things like that you do. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise. Maybe, not that of course, the pandemic's terrible. I get that, but we've learned how to do things a little bit differently.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And those strategies. And it is really cool because it's opened us all up, I think, to being able to write with people who we may not have written with before. Because generally when you think about it, it's like, oh, well, if they're not in the proximity or if they live in a different country, but you can do that. And I think that's something that really sort of stood out in this area was just, hey, we can write with people who are far away. We can do that. And so it opens up the world a little bit more to everybody.
So prior to this situation, did you have to head out to Nashville to do your co-writes?
I did some co-writing in Nashville. I did do a couple of Zoom writes already beforehand. So that kind of helps. So once it hit, I already kind of knew what that felt like to do some Zoom writes as well. But generally, I was down in Nashville every month, and during the summertime, I was touring. I do play a lot of fair and festivals. So the summertime was just always jam-packed with, 3 weeks out here and a couple weeks out here. And that, definitely changed a lot when it came to meeting people in radio and, sort of getting the music out there, because that's another way to grow your fan base is going to those shows, playing and, making yourself be known. And we didn't really have that anymore. So definitely trying to figure out how to work social media a little bit more, jumping on the TikTok bandwagon and trying to get creative in that sense. So it's been fun.
Yeah, you are on TikTok, right?
Yes, I am on TikTok. Yeah.
I did not get a chance. I'm going to be honest. I haven't even played with TikTok yet, but I think Skip, you were telling me that she was on TikTok. So do you like it? I mean, I have mixed feelings from different people.
I do. I think one of the things on TikTok is I always laugh and joke about it that I'm not the same person on TikTok as I am on the other social media platforms. I think it gives people a platform to just be as weird and quirky and whatever as they want. And so you just kind of have free reign on TikTok.
I did learn something on TikTok today.
Okay.
And All right, let me ask you, do you know what that drawer is for under your oven?
Okay.
Is that where you learned that? I caught the tail end of that
Did you hear me
story.
talking about
I did, but I didn't know where you heard it
it?
from.
Was on TikTok, and there's a video out there that's going viral, and apparently I had no idea that the drawer under your oven is for once you're done baking or whatever, you put the food in there to keep it warm.
Yep.
The place to put the pots and the pans and all that crazy stuff.
Yeah, I know, right?
It is. And the guy whoever posted it, it was going viral. And he was asking, how old were you when you realized that that drawer was for, keeping your food warm and not
Yeah.
for pots and pans and what have you. So,
Yep.
did you know that?
I feel like I knew that, but I also always visualize pots and pans in it.
Yeah.
So I think it serves a dual purpose.
You know what?
Multitasker.
I've never used my bottom broiler thing in my oven. It's just
Not a
got pots and pans in there.
Yeah.
Broiler thing. It's just a drawer and it's under the oven and it must just kind of heat in there.
Oh,
See, she's looking now.
I
Yeah.
am looking. But when I grew up, we had a broiler on the bottom of our oven. So I just always thought it was a broiler. And I just never
Okay,
used
yeah.
Yeah,
it.
I guess.
know.
I get it.
Yeah.
I guess
I'm old.
maybe.
Right.
Well, I'm old. See, with TikTok, it's those crazy things that you see, and you're right. It's an avenue to kind of just be different and have fun, as long as you keep it within reason. There's some stuff on there. It's like, no, if that was my kid, they wouldn't be doing that. But
Yeah.
but it is a fun place.
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah,
Absolutely.
I'll check it out one of these days.
Yeah.
she'll never check it out.
It's
It's
just
not
one more thing to learn. I can't keep up with what we have out here now. And then,
Yeah.
I mean, the younger generation, you guys, you just you pick it up in a matter of minutes. And
I know she's not talking to me. She's talking to you.
yes, definitely. So, all right, I'll leave you alone now. Go ahead, Skip.
I don't know. I kind of lost my train of thought here when she started talking about TikTok. But let's talk about the music a little bit. You had, of course, some singles go to radio already. What you got coming up down the road?
So coming up down the road, I'm actually going to be releasing another song here in February. So I'm really excited about that. So everyone can stay tuned. I'll be making an announcement about what that song is and some details along with it coming up really, really soon. But I'm really excited for that. Going to be out for streaming as well as we're going to do, sort of a little bit of a radio push with it just to get it out there.
Yeah.
And so I recorded 4 different songs back in 2019, and this is the last of those 4 songs to be released. So I'm really excited to share this one. It's really raw. It's really nitty gritty down to the soul. And it was written in a really unique way.
Okay.
And I think that's one of the things I think is really special about it, because, generally you go into a write and, you plan out your melody, you plan out your hook. You'll sit down and the first thing you do is like, okay, well, what do we want our hook to be? What are your titles? What titles do you have in your book? And you write to a title. But for this one, we just kind of gathered around and we had a little discussion and we got really deep into what we were going through emotionally at the time. And I remember my co-writers on it just said, hey, why don't you just start talking about what you're going through? Don't even try to rhyme. Don't even try to do anything. The one guy played the guitar a little bit. And I just started speaking these raw emotions and feelings that I was having. And we kind of wrote them down and then went back and formulated them into rhyming and cohesive lyrics. And so it was just a really unique write. And so I'm really excited to share that one with everybody.
I love hearing how different artists write. It's very, very cool. Like they just had you start talk about your feelings and they were kind of putting it to music. And if it sounded good, great. If not, okay, let's try it different.
Exactly.
Well, you have to be comfortable too doing that around people, expressing yourself.
Yeah.
And not be worried about what people are going to think or feel or say or anything. So you definitely had that comfort level. And then the writers, your co-writers, it's amazing that they could take that information and convert it to something. I mean, that's just amazing.
And it was so cool because what was wild about it is that some lines, we'd sort of work them down and I'd end up start speaking over it. and immediately like a word would come to mind and I'd be able to actually rhyme with what the previous phrase was. So sometimes the lyrics just started coming out as I was speaking and as we were working through it. And what's funny about that is you're saying about being comfortable. This was the first time I actually met these two co-writers.
Oh,
And it was so it's one of those things where, you go into a write and you get really close to the people you're writing with really fast. And but I'm just so thankful because they created an environment where I could do that and where I could feel safe expressing my feelings. And I just think it's a really beautiful thing. And I think that's just the beauty of songwriting and being an artist and working with other people in the creative industry.
How do you
a therapist?
Exactly. That's a good way to put it. How do you get involved with a co-writer? You've never met them before. You walk into a room. Are they sitting at a table and say, hi, hey, you're AC, right? Come on in, sit down. Let's write a song. Is that how it works? I mean, you don't really know each other. You just kind of get to go.
Yeah, sometimes you do. Sometimes you get to know a person and you just say, hey, we should write, let's get together and write. And maybe you've known them for a little while. In this scenario, I was working with some people who were helping set me up with some writers. And they were like, oh, we got you set up with these two people. And I was like, okay, cool, great. And so I walked in and shook the hand and we sat down and dove right in.
Have you ever been intimidated by any of the songwriters? Like, oh my God, that's so-and-so, and he wrote this song or that song.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And it was so funny because I write a lot by myself. I started out writing all by myself. And I had just sort of dipped into co-writing. And one of my first co-writes was with a man by the name of Michael Huffman. And he's written songs for like Conway Twitty. And I was just sitting there and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. But man, we had a great time. We had so much fun. And he's just such a cool guy. And he speaks in song lyrics, which is really awesome.
Oh, wow.
And Mr. Moon was a song that he was a co-writer on with me.
Very
and
cool.
Man, that was just a really fun experience and just another person who really lets you be yourself and lets that shine through. And so yeah, it was great.
Let me ask you, how do you break the ice with something like that? I mean, you go, oh my God, that's so-and-so. Okay, I'm really scared. I'm scared to death. I'm nervous as hell. How do you break it? How do you break the ice?
Yeah, that's sometimes, you just kind of sit down and maybe have a casual conversation, maybe just sit and take a few minutes to get to know each other a little bit. Maybe tell your backstory a little bit, crack some jokes, kind of make the mood lighthearted a little bit.
Get it.
And, I know for me personally, a lot of times in a co-write, if I go in and I feel like, maybe this is a person I kind of haven't really met before, or maybe there's somebody who's written with a lot of people and I'm kind of new to this, I'll kind of go in and I'll be active in the write, but like the first 10 minutes, I'll almost not hang back too much, but just kind of figure out how they work. And once I kind of lock in how they like to formulate the song, it helps me a little bit then to really jump in full force and say, okay, I can adapt to this style of writing. Let me see how I can navigate this. Because some people will like to throw out lines. Some people want to work on a melody first. Some people, will just work in an outline where you start out just saying, what do we want to say in the verse? Okay, what do we want to say in verse 2? And then how do we want to drive it home in the chorus? And then it's just a very basic outline. And then you start to dive into the verses and lyrics and everything. So it's different for everybody. And I always like to try and adapt a little bit to what my co-writers are doing as well.
Oh, that's cool. And we got some comments here. Marlene says, TikTok. And Gordy's from this area. He's chiming in and says, years ago, that's where the broiler was.
See?
There you go.
Okay.
Told you. Yeah.
I love it.
I wasn't dreaming.
Oh yeah. So yeah, there you go. Wow, that old drawer thing but I'm surprised you heard it, Deb. And I know, I just wanted to ask somebody that maybe knew. So you got your guitar there too, right?
I do.
Do you name your guitar?
You know what? I haven't named this one.
Okay.
But when I'm playing fairs and festivals, I have a blue guitar that I play, and I named it Kessie. Because Kessie is the name of the bluebird that's on an episode of Winnie the Pooh. And I loved Winnie the Pooh when I was younger, and I love bluebirds. And actually, it's funny, I've got my little bluebird mug here. But I love bluebirds. And Kessie was the name of the bluebird. So I just figured it was appropriate for a blue guitar to be named after a bluebird.
Absolutely. So many artists name their guitars. That's why.
Yeah.
It's a great story too. It's got some feeling to it. And hey, so can you give us a little AC Jones?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, love to hear it.
Yeah, so I will I'll play my latest single that was on the radio back in 2020 there when everything was going on. And this one's called Castle, and it was inspired by my 6-year-old niece who is now 7.
Yeah.
And she has 3 different autoimmune diseases. So she has type 1 diabetes, celiac, and Hashimoto's. And she was diagnosed with type 1 when she was only 9 months old. And it was a shock to everybody. It doesn't run in our family. And it was just a very, very scary time. She spent a week in the hospital. We didn't know how things were going to go. And, but she's just a fighter. And every day with type 1, with celiac, she has to fight. And I've just always been so inspired by her. And so I wanted to write a song that sort of touched on that, but I could never find the right words to say it.
Wow.
But as I was thinking about her one day, she has this little battle cry where if she's facing something that she's scared of, or if she's just like really pumped up, she'll go, "I'm a warrior princess." And I thought, you know what? There we go. That's something that she can relate to. She can relate to princesses and castles and, and the fairy tales and the stories of how these young princesses have had to overcome different battles, and she can relate to that. And I think, in a respect too, that even adult women can look back and think of those days in fairy tales and just feel that inner feeling of slaying the dragon. So this is Castle.
All right.
Long time ago, in a land far away, there lived a princess of beauty and grace, 7 years old with a hand-me-down doll. But the world was her kingdom and she ruled it all. Staring at models in teen magazine, picture perfection that she couldn't be. But nothing could break her, no, she'd never fall, 'cause she knows in her heart she's the fairest of all. She'll stand tall, hold the line, as she builds up her kingdom one stone at a time. Yeah, she'll fight for her crown, 'cause this is her castle, you can't bring it down. 29 years came and went in a day. Her dreams could be close or so far away, but she knows the journey is part of the dream. So she marches on with the strength of the queen. She'll stand tall, hold the line, as she builds up her kingdom one stone at a time. Yeah, she'll fight for her crown, 'cause this is her castle, you can't bring it down. Now she's a mother with a girl of her own. She reads her the story she loved long ago. She's building a fortress with 50-foot walls, so she won't need a white knight to save her at all. No, she won't. She'll stand tall, hold the line, as she builds up her kingdom one stone at a time. Yeah, she'll fight for her crown, 'cause this is her castle, you can't bring it down. Ladies, this is for you out there. Here we go. This is your castle, they can't bring it down.
Wow, wow, wow,
That's
wow.
beautiful.
Thank you so much.
Look at that. Kelsey chiming in. This is her castle, and you can't break it down. Those are powerful words.
Thank you.
And by the way, is that her in the video?
Yes.
Yes. All right, I saw it. I thought so.
Yeah, that's my niece Nora in the video, and we filmed that video. I filmed that video with my family. We all kind of got together. I was supposed to do a really big production video, bring in a camera crew, and there was actually a castle in Cleveland that we were going to use.
Oh, wow.
But when the pandemic shut everything down, I couldn't get a permit to go filming. They closed everything. Couldn't work with the camera crew. So once again, another just means of adapting to the circumstances. We said, well.
Right.
We got a good camera. Let's do something. So it was really special though, because we filmed it back at my childhood home. There's a little playhouse in the back, and so we filmed it there with my niece, and it just made it really personal. And yeah. So
well, that threw you off.
Now she's blushing, and that threw her off. Exactly.
Hi.
Did you film that yourselves with your own video camera or phone camera? Or?
Yes. So I have a DSLR camera, so I filmed that on my own, and I got a little slider off of Amazon for the camera to go back and forth. Nice. It's automatic, or it has like a little remote, so you can use it. And so yeah, we filmed that video, edited it by myself, and just put it out there and said, you know what, this is what we can do now, and so we're gonna do it. And yeah.
Well, you did a great job, and you saved yourself a lot of money. Hiring up the camera crew.
DIY everything, right?
and she's not alone. She's not alone doing it that way. There's so many, as we mentioned, everybody's finding a different way of doing things. So that's the way it is. And talking about that, though, how are things there? Are you beginning to open up at all? I know here in New York, they've now relaxed some of the restrictions, not as far as we'd like them to, but, in my opinion anyways. But things are starting to open up a little bit.
Yeah, no, things are starting to open up a little bit, and slowly things are kind of working their way back. But
very cool.
So yeah, just hoping that things can really open up here in the future, and I have hope for the future. Looking ahead and looking forward, and just going to cross our fingers, say our prayers, and hope that things continue to go in a positive direction.
Do you have any shows coming up anywhere? Any small shows? Are you playing around town there at all?
Not playing around town here. Already booking some shows for the summer though.
Yes.
So we're working on that already, and trying to get out there doing that. So working on bookings for that summer season right now.
Very cool.
I think we'll be able to have some of the smaller shows. I just don't think we're going to be able to have the big venue, stadium type shows unless they break them out over several days. So I think there's quicker hope for the newer artists to get out there than there is for the more seasoned artists. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I think I know with our amphitheater here in upstate New York that, they bring in the big artist, but if you can't put 17,000 people in there, how are you going to pay for, it's cheap getting these tours.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be a whole new way of doing things. I mean, maybe the newer artists like yourself might be able to get out there and do some things, but like Deb said, it's going to be hard. It's going to be
absolutely
hard. But it's in the right direction, so hopefully things will go in the right direction, I guess, or continue to go in the right direction. So you got to tell me a story. You don't have to tell us if you don't want to.
Okay.
So when I was on Facebook here a while ago, and of course I follow, a lot of our artists, and they follow us as well, and happened to see Michael in one of the pictures, and you guys just look so happy. And Michael is from the band Lachlan that Deb and I talked to here not that long ago.
Yeah.
I heard that you two were pretty much a couple.
Pretty much.
I'm trying to walk lightly here because sometimes people don't want to talk about it, but you're both musicians. You're both awesome people. And how did you guys meet?
Yeah. So no, we love talking about it. We do. For us, our meeting was just such a God thing. And we always say that, and that's, it was kind of miraculous how everything happened, because we met back in February at CRS. We've known each other and we've been acquaintances as artists for a little while. But back in February at CRS, we really got to talk to each other for the first time. And so we had a really good conversation. And at the time, we were both just kind of doing our thing, going around, going to CRS. And so we talked, and then kind of nothing really transpired. But about 9 months later, we're in the pandemic and things are going on. I happened to comment on a Facebook post of his, and he messaged me, and we just, he just messaged me to check in and asked how I was doing and how things were going and how it seemed like such a long time since CRS. And so I started talking to him, and we both just sort of started off on a conversation that didn't end. So,
and it's still going. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it was just such a God thing for the two of us. And there's just so many little things, so many details that I could just go on and on and on about the timing of how everything happened. Obviously, meeting somebody in the middle of a pandemic, 500 miles apart from each other, is kind of wild. But truly, it's beautiful how well we understand each other. And some of the things that we've been through in life, just how well they complement each other. And we're just so thankful for each other right now.
It's amazing how people meet. If it's meant to be. It didn't happen right away. It just kind of slowly worked into each other. Well,
wasn't the right time in February. Wasn't the right time. But we needed a few more months,
So you're in Ohio. Is he living in Nashville?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
So that.
Yeah. So
okay. It works. I mean, you just have to
it does, and we're very thankful for it because being artists and being in two separate bands that will be on different tours a lot of the time, could be hundreds, could be thousands of miles apart for weeks at a time. We've learned, everything's based on communication. Exactly. And so it's just a really beautiful thing in that sense that we've really gotten to know each other through talking and through that form of communication. And
Oh, and now too with videos and FaceTime and everything, you don't even really feel like you're away from each other at times.
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Sorry, Skip.
No, we're right there with you right now. We're in your living room.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That's creepy. No, but you know what I mean. I'm sure Michael's watching this going, okay, that's enough. That's enough. All right.
Hi, Michael. He says hi, by the way. He told me to tell you hi.
We love him. We love him. And of course, that was a great interview with that band, Lachlan. And he comes from a family. His dad's a big drummer and right in the southern tier of New York State, south of us, about an hour in Binghamton. Yeah. So just outside Binghamton. So that's pretty cool. And if you ever come to Binghamton, just let us know that you're in town. Deb and I'd be more than happy to make the trip and take you and Michael out to eat or something. So
Sounds great.
Yeah. So that's one thing to look forward to. So do you have a regular band? Do you have a full band that, you guys all play together, or is it just you?
Yeah. And that's part of the reason of being up here in Ohio too, is that my touring band is up here in Ohio. And actually quite a few members of that band, most of the members of the band are actually family members of mine. So my sister plays keyboard and she sings, and my brother-in-law plays bass. And their 4 kids come on the road with all of us and everything. So,
fun.
So it's definitely a family affair, and it's beautiful because my family has always been involved in music for as long as I can remember, in one way or another. And so it's great to be able to share that with each other.
That's the way to go, though. I mean, when you're with family, you're comfortable and everybody knows everybody well enough what your likes and dislikes are, and you just can communicate well and all that other stuff that goes along.
So how long have you been singing? Let's go back a little bit. When did you first realize that you could sing, or did you pick up a guitar, or when did all that go down?
Yeah, so I started just, I guess, just singing in general. Oh gosh, I was probably maybe 9 or 10 years old in church. My pastor, we used to do Christmas and Easter plays, sort of musicals every year. And I know for one of the Christmas services, though, he needed a young girl to sing "Where Are You, Christmas?" And so he asked me, and he said, "Do you want to sing it?" And I was like, "Well, I've never performed on a stage before. Sure, why not though? Because you're 10 and you're excited, so why not?" Yeah. And so I started singing, and I found that I really enjoyed it. I really love the stage. I love performance. And very shortly after that, when I was around in 5th grade, I started taking classical voice lessons. So I would sing opera. I would sing in Italian, in French, German. So I learned a lot, and I studied classical for about 10 years with a private instructor. And that really sort of grew my base in singing, so that, even though it's not country music, it's not pop music, breath support, how to carry your notes, how to extend them, it taught a lot of technique, which is so important. And then all through middle school, high school, I did musical theater. And middle school, high school is kind of when I started to pick up the guitar. And my dad taught me my first 3 chords. And so I started just writing little songs and everything. But I really had no intent to go into music. I didn't. I loved it in what I did, but I had no intent to go into it. And I went to college for biochemistry. So I went off to college, got my biochem degree. And when I was in college, that's when we kind of started to really play out and perform as a country band. And so I would do all my lab work during the week, and on the weekends I'd go out and I'd gig. And so I got to kind of experience both for a little while. And I remember coming up to the end of my junior year when I was starting to have to decide, did I want to go on for my PhD, which was something I was considering doing. I was weighing my options, and I was really falling in love with music, and I was falling in love with it very quickly. And I realized that never in my life had I given myself the chance to go at it 100%. And so I talked to people at different universities, and I said, hey, if I were to take a few years off and have to come back, would that be a bad thing? And I said, no, we go out, experience the world, do what you need to do. And so I said, okay. So I put it on myself after I graduated college. I said, I'm going to give myself 2 years to pursue music 100% and just really push for it. And at the end of that 2 years, I'll see where I am. And if I've made progress, then I'll give myself some more time and I'll just keep extending it. And here I am 5-6 years later and still going. So, and it's just been an amazing ride. Very quickly after that 2 years, I was releasing my first songs to radio and just really diving into the scene and starting to put my footprint on things. And it's been an incredible experience. I've had so many people who have been so helpful to teach me the music industry along the way, because I knew nothing going into it. I knew nothing. So I'm just so thankful for all of that.
That's a great story. That's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Had to be you're pursuing your dream. Yeah. I know you spent so much for your education and getting your degree and all that. That's one thing, but now you're going down that road of being a country artist and being a country star. And I know that's your dream, to be on that big stage. And if you don't at least give it a shot, you regret it. You got to at least try it. I think you have to reach for it. You got to go for it. Give it all you got.
I never wanted to ask why or if. I never wanted to ask if.
No.
What if?
Do that.
So yeah.
You don't want to do that. Not
and you're so young. You have so much time to play with your time, which is nice. So, people pursue dreams at different ages. And when you pursue a dream later in life, you feel like that window is shortened. And if you wanted to give this a full 10 years and then decide, I want to pursue another career, you still are in a great shape and time in your life to do that. So, but I don't think you'll be using that biochem degree anytime soon.
It looks pretty on my wall. That's what it's doing right now. So.
Hey, it's always good to have a backup plan, they say.
And that, my motto was always follow your heart, but use your head. And so to me, it was very important to me that I go and get a college education. I wanted that. And so to me, I was like, here's my plan. Here's my, I like to have multiple plans. I'm that kind of person. And, but to me, that was just really important to me to have that. So
I have 2 questions based on your little more. So who in your family has the blue eyes? Because you have beautiful eyes.
Oh, thank you so much. Let's see. My dad has blue eyes. And then my mom, she has one blue eye, and then her other eye is green and brown.
What?
Really?
That's like
really cool.
That's so rare. I've heard of it.
It is.
So rare.
Wow.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we all have light eyes in the family. Yeah.
Oh, well, they're gorgeous. So.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you.
They'll be helpful in the future, I'm sure. But can you tell us how it's AC Jones?
Yes.
So what does the AC stand for? Or is that your real initials, or did you just like the sound of AC?
Yeah, absolutely. So AC, those are my initials. It stands for Amanda Cosette. So,
Pretty.
and Cosette is the name of one of the characters in the musical in the book Les Mis. So there's kind of like a little musical theater reference in there.
Right.
So yeah, Amanda Cosette, that's what that stands
Very
for.
pretty. Very
Thank
pretty.
you so much.
Okay, got my information.
Yes, you can get your info.
Back to your music. Go ahead, Skip.
I don't know. I'd like to hear another song before we call it a night.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's really cool. I don't know. We got to name that guitar too. Is the guitar at least a boy or a girl?
You know what? That's a good. I'm gonna say because Kessie's a girl. I'm gonna say that here's what it looks like. I'm gonna say that this one's a boy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I
And
agree.
why would you think it's a boy?
Why do I think it's a boy? I don't know.
Oh, well, the other one's blue though, right?
True,
What
but it's
is-
like all shiny. It's like real shiny and kind of
Right.
like
Okay.
yeah.
All right.
Kind of pretty.
Call
A
it-
This kind of looks like this is
little more
very
manly.
yeah. It's very like very cedar and lumberjack. I don't know.
Mhm.
And what's the make? Is that a Taylor? What is it?
Yes, it is. It is a Taylor GS Mini little
Nice.
parlor
Yeah.
guy. It's nice because it's tiny and my arms aren't that big. So when I play, like we have a Gibson that goes in the trailer with us, and like my arm's always up here when I try to play that. So this fits a little bit better.
And now, before you play again, you're in an apartment, you said. And do you have neighbors above you, below you, next to you?
It's like it's actually a garage that was converted into an apartment.
Okay, all right.
So it's kind of so it's separate. So I'm not bothering any neighbors. We're good.
If you were my neighbor, I think it'd be pretty cool. Get like free entertainment every time somebody.
Exactly.
Mhm.
All right. What can we do? What can we hear?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to play a song for you here. This one is from an EP that I released back in 2019 called Campfire Sessions. And so
Okay.
when we were on the road back in 2019, I thought it would be really fun to go to a campground because we were staying a lot of campgrounds that time. And I said, you know, it'd be really fun if we could record an EP around the campfire and make it a live EP. And so I asked my road manager and the audio engineer who was with us, I said, can we make that happen? And they said, we can absolutely make that happen. So I was like, cool. So we recorded 4 songs around that campfire in Waterloo, Iowa at a KOA. And we just had a great time with it. On the recording, you can hear crickets, and there were a ton of geese that you can hear in the background and the fire popping. So it's just really authentic and kind of that raw and real feeling, which I always love. So
I love it too. Cool.
yeah. So this is called Over You, and it's subtitled as the Yellow Sundress Song.
Okay.
Took all your pictures down, cleared out that whole damn house. Didn't need you hanging round watching me. Picked your clothes up off the floor, left your boxes on the porch. I went ahead and locked the door, then threw away your key. Oh, 'cause now I'm finally free. I wore that yellow sundress you didn't want me to wear. I sold my 89 Corolla and I cut my hair. I did every single thing you didn't want me to do. So I guess it's safe to say I'm getting over you. Well, boy, it's such a shame. 4 years gone down the drain, but I had to shake your chain and make it on my own. 'Cause every time you made me cry from believing all your lies, well, it pushed me to goodbye and better off alone. But I thought you'd like to know I wore that yellow sundress you didn't want me to wear. I sold my 89 Corolla and I cut my hair. I did every single thing you didn't want me to do. So I guess it's safe to say I'm getting over you. Yeah. And I'm done trying to be the girl you wanted me to be. And I don't need your love no more, 'cause I'm finally loving me. So I'll wear that yellow sundress you didn't want me to wear. I'll drive down the highway with the wind in my hair. I'll do everything I want, 'cause I got nothing left to prove. Oh baby, life is so much better when I'm over you. I wore that yellow sundress you didn't want me to wear. I sold my '89 Corolla and I cut my hair. I did every single thing you didn't want me to do. So I guess it's safe to say I'm getting over you.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Do you have an '89 Corolla?
I don't have an '89 Corolla.
I don't know. I didn't think. Wait a minute. Crickets? What's that noise? Is that you, Deb?
Yeah, my phone fell.
No.
Oh no, the phone fell.
Well, it's okay.
That's the applause. I didn't want that.
I love it.
Wait a minute. I'm looking for the crickets to go because you said there was.
Well, yeah,
no, that's
yeah.
not. No. Ah,
There you go.
There we go. Perfect. Sets the scene really well.
and then someday it'll be, ladies and gentlemen, AC Jones.
Oh, there we go.
Exactly. You know what? It's so cool having you on tonight, and of course catching up. And we haven't seen each other for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
I think, and I think you planned on coming around with another radio tour, but then everything that happened kind of put a stop to that. But we're glad you're safe. We're glad you're healthy. Hopefully, you've had no issues at all, or you've been doing well. I hope.
Yeah, I've been doing well. Yeah.
Good.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Glad to see you guys, and it's great to see you again. Like you said, it's been so long. I was looking back at those photos, and I went, "Oh my gosh, it's already been 2 years, going on 3 this fall."
Wow.
So wow.
And as you get older, time goes by a lot faster. Let me tell you.
Yeah. I'm already starting to feel that. It's like, ooh, sneaking up.
And you realize that bottom drawers for warming food and not your pots and pans, but. I was just, is it me or yes, as we get older, time does go by faster, but it seems like when this whole pandemic set in and we've all been stuck at home or doing things a lot different, it seems like time has been going even faster. I don't know why, but it seems like the week flies by.
Yeah.
I just more so than ever before. And before we were busy doing other things, concerts and events and everything. But now it's like there's nothing going on and it seems like it's flying.
Yeah. I remember like looking back when New Year's came around, like there was something weird about how throughout the year, each day felt like it kind of went slow. But then when we got to the end of the year, I looked back and I went, oh my gosh, wait, it's already, like the year's already gone. It's done. And so that was kind of a weird thing to feel out, how it's already going to be almost a year now since last CRS and seeing all of you again. And it's just, it's wild.
I know we're very.
Right. We're bummed.
Yeah, now you're like heartbroken that we won't be able to see all our friends at CRS.
I know. It's like my favorite event, one of my favorite events. And,
it is. 3 days, 4 days, whatever you want to make it. But it's great to catch up. It's great to network. It's great to see the artists, the new artists, the well-established artists. It's just great to, just to make connections and just to see people and talk to people.
Well, it's going to be one big party next year, that's for sure.
Oh yeah.
Gosh, it'll be crazy. It'll be crazy. And I kind of wonder, if CRS was in February, remember all those, a lot of people got sick, and then right after CRS, I mean, I was fine. I think Deb was fine, but
a lot of people did get, we had heard they were like flu-like sickness. So we didn't really pay attention to anything then back in February. So
yeah.
Do you like any sports at all?
Who me? Do I like sports? I enjoy playing different sports for fun.
Okay.
But I am not invested in specific teams. But I'll watch sports. But I don't have like a diehard fan of a team or anything like that per se. So
yeah, like football with the Super Bowl coming up or the big games coming up a couple weeks.
Big game coming.
The big game. We can't say Super Bowl because it's, I don't know. We can't. In radio we can't do that.
Why?
Oh,
because it's copyrighted. Somebody put a copyright on Super Bowl.
Really?
Yeah. So that's why everywhere, I don't know if you knew this or not, but we call it the big game.
Huh.
Never knew that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. So when we do contest or we do a promotion, I mean, we can't say Super Bowl.
Oh, wow.
I think we can get away with going, hey, the Super Bowl's coming up this weekend, blah, blah, blah. But if we were doing an event or putting the word Super Bowl in a commercial or something like that, we wouldn't be able to do that.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I learned something new every day, right?
Really? Me too.
Just
but
like
that is different.
Pots and pans.
Yeah.
You learn lots of things on TikTok. I will say that.
And that's exactly where that came from. Deb, you got some questions there, right? For AC?
Oh, yeah, I have some fun questions.
Before we say goodbye?
Yeah. So.
And wait a minute, 1 second. What did you do for Christmas? Were you with Michael at that time? Did you guys spend it together, or did?
So we were dating, but we weren't in the same vicinity. We spent it with our families.
Okay.
So we did Christmas over Zoom.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Hopefully, have you seen each other since? I hope.
We have.
Okay. Just check. Otherwise, I'm going to say, Michael, I know you're watching. You better get in the car and get over to Ohio. What?
Hi.
I know he's watching. I see his comments there.
I know.
See him.
How many miles? How many miles between?
How many miles between us?
Yeah.
Okay, so I laughed because I found out that it was around 550. So now, like whenever I talk about it, I always sing the Proclaimers 500 miles. You know what I mean?
I love it. 500 miles is nothing.
Yeah, no.
And what you do for love is just amazing. So I'm just saying 500 miles is nothing. All right, Deb. It's me being weird.
That's okay. Let's see. What was I going to do? So what one item would you put in a time capsule that to be opened in the year 3000? And you can't say an oven with a bottom drawer.
Oh, no. That's a really good question. Okay.
Can you imagine, like, what is going to be in this? I think about that, like the way we have technology and cell phones and these little gadgets and gadgets. What could they possibly have in the year 1,000 years from now?
Exactly.
So that's a tough one.
I mean, I guess the first thought that comes to mind is something like a cell phone, just because I feel like of all things that might be something that changes the most.
I think
in that amount of time. Gosh, I don't know.
They're gonna
VHS tape, maybe a VHS tape. No one will know what those are. Then.
Oh, no one will know.
I don't know what they are now.
I know. Cassette tapes, things like that. That things come across Facebook, like the old telephone with the cord on it. I grew up with them.
Oh, with a rotary dial.
The rotary dial. Just blows my mind. So, let's see. What was one of my other ones here? There's no place like blank.
So initially home came to mind.
I knew it. Home. Go ahead.
I just finished the phrase.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess if I like really think about it, I just think there's no place like there's no place like being on the stage, out in the middle of nowhere somewhere,
Right.
At a fair festival, just no place like it.
Yeah,
no place like it.
Definitely. I wouldn't have. And here we are talking to an artist, and I didn't even think of that as an answer. So good one.
That's a great answer.
Let's see. What would be the worst question to ask someone on a first date?
Oh gosh.
So I don't know. Maybe you had an embarrassing question that you asked at some point. I don't know, but
worst question on a first date.
Like I don't even know like people talk about anymore on a date because the generations are so different.
It's really hard. That's really hard because I'm just a naturally nervous person, so any question that I get asked is probably going to be scary to me. Because I overthink everything.
Oh, that's so funny.
So even a question as simple as like, "What's your favorite color?" It's like, well, wait. What do you mean? Like my favorite color in terms of aesthetics, my favorite color in terms of the clothes I like to wear, my favorite color in terms of.
Oh, that's funny.
So, gosh, I don't know. That's a hard one.
All right, something to think
Really
about in the future. Actually, so you did great on the interviews questions today because you didn't overthink any of your answers. So
Yeah, see, this is like, yeah, I'm good with this.
all right, one more. I break for blank.
Animals.
Oh, that's okay. Me too. A squirrel in the road. I have to slow down.
Oh,
Yeah,
they're so cute.
yeah.
No, exactly.
Little get to know you questions. Some fun
Yeah.
questions. A little bit there.
Yeah.
Who said I love you first?
Oh wow. Technically him.
Technically.
Him. Yeah.
Explain.
But we're both kind of saying it without saying it, So.
And you're just waiting for somebody to start saying it first, and then it just
Exactly.
My cheeks hurt from smiling so much from talking to you. So.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that. Yeah.
Very personable. So.
AC, you're awesome.
Mm-hmm.
You are.
You guys are awesome. I really appreciate you having me on the podcast tonight.
Wow.
It's great to catch up with you. It's been so long.
My God, I'm so glad you said yes when I asked you.
Oh, glad you asked.
It's just, and put the word out there. I mean, if Michael, if any of you guys want to come on and, anytime we're available. And it's just so great to catch up, to find out what's going on. All the artists have been going through a tough time with this pandemic, and to find out, how you're making it work. And everybody's got something a little bit different, making it unique, doing it in their own unique way. And, the best thing we can do, and the other reason is we do this to get you out there a little bit. We have quite the following, and between the radio and the Country Music Fan Club, it's great to get artists like you out there. And if you do make a trip to Binghamton to see Peter, or Michael's coming up to see really let us know, because we'd bring your guitar with you. If we're not in a lockdown, we'd love to put you in front of some fans, and maybe some new fans, and
thank you,
and make it work for you like we've done before. If somebody wanted to get a hold of your music, you have a website. How can we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So they can go to acjonesmusic.com. And one of the things that we're really pushing for right now before the new single drops is building up the followers on Spotify. So if anyone out there has Spotify, they can go over and find the AC Jones profile. If you give me a follow on Spotify, I'd so much appreciate that. That helps with all of those playlists, and it helps me too when it comes to figuring out the demographic of places that I should play at fairs and festivals, and where in the country to tour when touring season opens back up. So all of that is so helpful, and I'd appreciate a follow there if you can, and then on all social media at AC Jones Music.
There you go. And of course, everybody that's watching this, make sure you subscribe to Skip Happens. We're also on YouTube. I know you're watching this live on Facebook right now, but it'll all be uploaded to YouTube as well. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Deb, you want to talk about your music fan club, Country Music Fan Club? Just a quick little.
Yeah, go ahead and like and follow us on Facebook at Official CMFC, and follow us on Instagram and Twitter, and eventually we'll be on YouTube, just starting that, but we got Skip Happens on YouTube right now. So,
and everything goes there. But AC Jones, hold on the line when we say goodbye tonight. Just kind of sit there for a minute, and we'll talk for a moment with the microphones off. And we do want to thank you officially, though, for joining us here on Skip Happens today.
Thank you so much for having me on tonight. I really appreciate it.
We love you.
Thank you.
Yeah.